All right, welcome back to College Football Addiction. Clemson loses to Duke 46-45 in a thrilling game that's not without its controversy. And I'm going to talk about that controversy today because it is absolutely ridiculous. And it's not part of why Clemson filed their lawsuit. It's not why Florida State and the Tigers are trying to get out of this conference, and others that were too cowardly to do it out in the open are trying to get out. But ACC officiating has been awful for a long time. And let's be fair, the SEC's got terrible officials too. Well, the things that they have done in the Georgia game and the Auburn game and just all over the place, they're bad too. But the ACC, their officials cost Clemson the game yesterday. There's no doubt about it. Or if you're watching this on Monday, then on Saturday. And it's not the only reason Clemson lost. Look, before people come in here and jump in the comments and, oh, well, they had their chances and you can't leave it up to officials, all of that is accurate. And I'll talk about some of the more big picture things from the game in just a moment. There's no doubt Clemson should have still taken care of business and should not have put themselves in position for that call to have meant what it did. But the ACC fired back at Dabo after he made some comments, and then Dabo tonight doubled down. I'll talk about all that in just a moment. But again, yes, if you're going to come in these comments and say, shouldn't have let it get to that position, I completely agree with you. However, football is a stupid sport, and I say that all the time. I love college football more than just about anything in the world. But it's a dumb sport where dumb things happen, and sometimes fluky things happen, and sometimes your effort just isn't what it's supposed to be, and sometimes you have a few more losses than you thought you were going to have, and so things just aren't going your way. And so, yes, we can say Clemson should not have put themselves in the position to where that call would make that big of a deal. However, when it is that call, and when they are in that position, the people who are safeguarding the game, the people who are officiating the game have to be better. They absolutely have to be better. It is so unfair to Coach Swinney and the kids. And you guys watching this, you probably already know. I'm a Florida State guy. You can see the helmet. You can see the shoes. You can see the football signed by Bobby. I'm a Florida State guy. I did not lose any sleep over Clemson losing a game yesterday. I don't hate Clemson. It's not like Florida and Miami to me, but I like upsets. I'm glad I bet on Duke. I was glad Duke won. But at the same time, can we just call a spade a spade? And I get it. Clemson shouldn't have been in that position, but they were, and the refs completely altered the outcome of the game. On a 100% bailout, a 100% phantom call, they changed the game. I'm sure you've seen this. It's about a minute long. If you have already, skip ahead and I'll give you some of my thoughts. But here's what Dabo had to say about the call after the game.
Some critical penalties. I don't even really know what to say about the last call. I mean, y'all saw it. It shouldn't come down to that. You know, we had plenty of opportunities to win the game, but you know that's one of the worst calls I've ever seen in a game ever in my entire coaching career, ever. In a situation like that. I don't really know what else to say, but I don't want to make that a deal because we should have won the game. I mean, we had plenty of opportunities to win the game, but you fight your butt off and you scratch and you claw and you get in a situation like that and you just have a call like that. Man, I mean, it's really that's just more salt in the wound, you know. Again. That's not why we lost, because we had plenty of opportunities to win. We got them pinned they got to go 94 yards, and we give third and long, and we give up a big play to the tight end. Again, another bust. Really just didn't deserve to win the game, and you know we gotta get it fixed.
Okay, so here's what I love about Dabo is he took accountability for his team not being good enough. And he said, this is not the reason we lost the game. He didn't want to use them as a scapegoat because let's be honest, if you're a Clemson fan, if you're just a casual observer, you understand that Clemson was not good enough to win the game yesterday. They just weren't. And they lost the game. One call very rarely is the difference in a game. You had plenty of opportunities over a 60-minute game to where one play shouldn't make a difference here or there. But that was right. They were down early in this game. I mean, Duke could have absolutely run away with it. And they fought back and they scratched and they clawed. And, no pun intended with the Tiger mascot, but they fought their butts off to get back into this thing and took a lead, and they were failed. And Dabo's right. The call was horrendous. And so he calls them out. And what does the ACC do? Well, they turn around and fine Clemson for this. They fine Dabo and the Tigers because, and I quote, public criticism of officials or public comments evaluating the officiating of particular contest is not in the best interest of intercollegiate athletics. What's the ACC saying there? You criticizing our officials is not what's best for college sports. It's not good for us. It's not good for college sports if you evaluate or make public comments about officiating. I got to call something BS. It is good for college athletics for there to be accountability. If you suck at your job as a coach, you get fired. If you suck as a player, they tell you to go to the transfer portal. If you're not as good as a recruit, what do? We're not going to recruit you anymore. You don't have a committable offer. If you're not as good of a team, you don't get to go to a bowl game. If you're not as elite of a team, you don't get to go to the playoff. But somehow officials are free from this. If you're not as good of a conference, we don't even want to be in you anymore. Seen that with the Pac-12. We've seen that with now the ACC. Why are officials free from being evaluated? Public criticism of officials or public comments evaluating the officials are not in the best interest of intercollegiate athletics. Let me tell you something. BS. What's not in the best interest of intercollegiate athletics is costing kids games. That's what's not in the best case. That's what's not in the best interest of athletics. That's what's not in the best interest of our sport. Commenting on Dabo didn't say these guys are drunks, these guys are losers, these guys are a-holes. He didn't say they've got an axe to grind. He didn't say it's because we sued you guys. He didn't say anything inflammatory. And so somehow what he did was worthy of a fine? No, the ACC, and granted, the SEC's got their problems with officiating too. It's not just one conference. But the ACC understands that what they're saying is complete horse crap. It is in the best interest of intercollegiate athletics for you to patrol and police things that are changing outcomes of games. This wasn't a false start that you missed or a delay of game that you missed by a second in the first quarter that had no impact. This changed the outcome of a game. Don't tell me that's not what's in the best interest of intercollegiate athletics, because it is. It is in the best interest of the student athletes and the coaches and their families that are involved with all of these things. The odds makers, Vegas, all of this stuff that's tied together. It's in the best interest to get the call right. And if you're too coward as the ACC to make them get it right or hire people that are competent enough to get it right, good on Dabo for getting it done. He was asked about this tonight. As just an hour before I recorded this, he was asked about getting fined by the ACC for his comments on the refs in the late pass interference call. And his quote was, "I stand by what I said." There's a lot of accountability for coaches. There should be accountability for the refs. He finished by saying, "We're going to have to agree to disagree." And Dabo many times sticks his foot in his mouth and says stuff that gets called out or dissected. We've picked on Dabo before for some of the dumb things he said. But sometimes, if you're being honest with yourself, he steps up to the plate and like the Dodgers in the ninth inning, he smacks a home run out of the park. And he did here too. He didn't back down. He didn't say, man, I got the emotions got the best of me. He didn't cower. He didn't back into a corner. He said, "I stand by what I said." There's accountability for me. People are calling for my job. People don't like me around these parts anymore. People have forgotten my 2 national titles. There's accountability for me. There should be accountability for them too. And Dabo said, ACC, if you won't do it, I'll do it. And he's spot on. He's 100% on the mark there. The officiating in this conference has long been atrocious. Florida State fans will tell you. We remember a certain call back in 2016 that we felt like cost us a chance to beat Clemson. We remember a call just a couple of weeks ago where it clearly looked like, and the announcers on TV said, yeah, that kid clearly crossed the plane, and they took it away from us, and they said, no, he didn't at Stanford. We understand how bad the officiating is in this conference, and we have for a long time. And Clemson understands it too after the refs cost them a game against Duke. Now, all that said, Clemson wasn't good enough on Saturday, and I'll stand by that. And I think Clemson fans will agree with it. Two things can be true at the same time. The call cost them the game, and they didn't play well enough to win the game as well. And I love how Dabo owned that. I loved how he said, that's not the reason we lost. I love how he took ownership for all the crapping on Dabo that happens in this space by people like me, people in the national media, people that cover this sport, other coaches, other players, whatever. He owned that. And so credit to him on both sides. You gave up 361 passing yards. You gave up 86 rushing yards. You lost the turnover battle. Yardage was similar if you count the 100-yard return that they had, but you outgained them by 100 yards if you don't count that kickoff return. You had too many penalty yards, obviously 15 of them coming off of that last one. You won the time of possession. You had more yards per pass and more yards per rush. You just couldn't get it done. And I think Clemson fans will agree with that. You weren't good enough to win the game. You shouldn't have spot them the early lead. You shouldn't have let them get loose a couple of times. You can't give up the explosive plays. You can't lose the turnover battle. All those things, right? You can say both things are true at the same time. We weren't good enough to win, and the refs blew a major call that swung the game. And ultimately, there's been a lot of not good enough at Clemson this year. But when they finally had a chance to break through and finally had a chance to beat a team that only had one loss in the ACC and get a win that would make them feel a little bit better about where things were this year, the refs ruined it. And the ACC ruined it. And then they doubled down with their stupidity by fining Dabo for doing what anybody should do, calling out incompetence. And so props to Dabo, props to Clemson for not cowering away, not saying, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." Hunk down in your little bunker and cower away. No, they said, "No, we're bigger than that here, trying to keep this G-rated so I don't get in trouble." Shout out to Clemson for that. Shout out to Sleeper as well. As we wrap this up, make sure that you're using our code CFA for 100% match up to $100 over on the Sleeper app. Got free plays all the time. We do a more or less game on Wednesdays live at noon on the Power 2 here on College Football Addiction. Go check out the Sleeper app. Use our code CFA for 100% match up to $100. If you're not already subscribed and you watch this for over 12 minutes, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button on your way out. We will talk to you soon here on College Football Addiction.